If your feet tingle at night, if your hands feel strangely numb, or if a burning pain seems to come out of nowhere, I want you to stay with me, because what's happening inside your body might not be about aging. It might not be about genetics. And it might not be as mysterious as it feels right now. I understand how frustrating it is when no one can explain what's wrong, when every test comes back normal, yet your nerves feel like they're under attack. You are not alone in this. Thousands of seniors across the country are dealing with the same silent destruction, but most don't realize what's really behind it until the damage becomes permanent. This isn't just about pain. It's about something much deeper. It's about control, balance, independence, and quality of life. Because when nerves begin to fail, so does your ability to feel the floor beneath your feet, to trust your steps, to sleep through the night without pain. Now here's the truth. The worst poison attacking senior nerves today isn't an industrial chemical or a rare toxin. It's not alcohol. It's not your age. The real culprit is something far more common and far more dangerous because of how invisible it is. It's called chronic blood sugar toxicity. And no, you don't need diabetes for it to harm you. In fact, millions of seniors are experiencing silent nerve damage from high blood sugar spikes without ever being diagnosed with diabetes. This is the part no one explains clearly enough. The spikes don't need to be extreme. They just need to be frequent. Over time, those sugar surges create chemical stress, inflammation, and microscopic damage to your nerves. The result is pain that doesn't go away, numbness that creeps in slowly, and a loss of balance that feels like it came out of nowhere. But it didn't. It was building, silently, for years. Let's take a closer look at what's really happening inside your body when nerve damage begins. You see, your nerves are not just wires. They are living tissue, fragile, sensitive, and incredibly dependent on just the right balance of nutrients, oxygen, and blood flow. They do not regenerate quickly like skin or muscle. Once damaged, they take time to heal if they heal at all. And that's why the damage often goes unnoticed for years. It starts slowly. No pain, no symptoms, just quiet stress, building up inside those delicate nerve fibers. The biggest trigger behind this process is something most people never think about: unstable blood sugar. Not just high blood sugar, unstable blood sugar. That means frequent spikes, even if your fasting numbers seem normal. And this is where the danger hides. When you eat something that causes your blood sugar to rise sharply, like fruit juice, cereal, or white bread, your body rushes to release insulin. That insulin tries to push the sugar into your cells for energy. But over time, especially as we age, our cells become resistant. They stop responding as well. So the sugar lingers. It floats through the bloodstream, staying longer than it should. And while it's there, it doesn't just sit harmlessly. Sugar is chemically reactive. It attaches itself to proteins, including those that make up nerve cells and the tiny blood vessels that feed them. This process creates oxidative stress and inflammation, two of the most destructive forces inside the body. Now, imagine this happening again and again, day after day. A bowl of cereal in the morning, a glass of juice at lunch, a cookie after dinner. None of it seems extreme. But over the course of months and years, it begins to take a toll. The protective coating around your nerves, called the myelin sheath, starts to break down. It's like stripping the insulation off an electrical wire. Signals become distorted. Communication between brain and body gets fuzzy. First, you feel tingling, then numbness, then sharp electric-like pain. Then, sometimes, nothing at all. That silence is not a good sign. It often means the nerve has gone quiet, not because it's healed, but because it's dying. And here's the part no one warns you about. You don't need to be diabetic for this to happen. In fact, studies now show that pre-diabetes, which millions of seniors have without knowing, can cause nerve damage nearly as often as full-blown diabetes. That's because it's not just about how high your sugar goes. It's about how often it happens and how long it stays high. That's why you can feel fine for years while the damage quietly builds in the background. And one day, out of nowhere, your feet start to burn at night. or your hands begin to feel numb when you wake up, or you feel off balance, like something isn't right but you can't explain it. By the time symptoms show up, the damage is no longer minor. That's why early action matters so much. This isn't fear, it's awareness, and awareness gives you power. Because when you understand the process, you can finally interrupt it. You can stop feeding the fire. You can give your nerves a fighting chance before that damage becomes permanent. And it starts by asking one question. Where's that sugar spike coming from? That's exactly what we'll uncover next. Now that we've uncovered how blood sugar spikes quietly damage nerves, we need to talk about something even more critical, what fuels those spikes every single day. Because most seniors I meet aren't pouring spoonfuls of sugar into their coffee or eating candy by the bag. In fact, many of them genuinely believe they're making healthy choices. And that's exactly what makes this so dangerous. The real damage often comes from 3 habits that seem harmless, or worse, are even encouraged. But once you understand what they do inside your body, it becomes painfully clear why your nerves are struggling to cope. Let's start with the most overlooked source of sugar: liquids. Juice, flavored coffee drinks, sports drinks, sweetened teas, even so-called healthy smoothies. These liquids hit your bloodstream faster than almost anything else. Why? Because there's no fiber to slow them down. When you drink juice, even 100% natural juice, it's like pouring sugar directly into your blood. No buffer, no delay. And here's what makes it worse. Liquids are often consumed on an empty stomach. That means there's nothing in your system to slow the sugar surge. Within minutes, your blood sugar skyrockets. That sudden spike floods your nerves with inflammatory chemicals. Do that once, and your body handles it. Do it every day, and your nerves begin to fray from the inside out. Next is something even more common: eating refined carbohydrates alone. Toast, crackers, rice, pasta, breakfast cereal. These foods aren't sweet, but your body turns them into sugar almost instantly. And when they're eaten without any protein or fat, that conversion happens even faster. So, a seemingly light snack, like a rice cake or a few crackers, can create a spike strong enough to harm your nerves, especially when it's repeated day after day. The danger isn't just the food, it's the context. Carbohydrates by themselves are like open flames. Without the presence of protein or healthy fat to stabilize the fire, they burn too hot and too fast. Your blood sugar rises sharply. Insulin rushes in. And if your system is already sensitive, those nerves take the hit. Then comes the third habit: constant snacking. It sounds innocent enough. A few bites here and there to keep your energy up. But when you're eating every couple of hours, your insulin never gets a break. And neither do your nerves. They stay in a heightened state, surrounded by sugar, inflamed and vulnerable. Over time, this constant state of alert wears them down. Like a machine that's always running, they begin to fail earlier than they should. Now, here's something that's rarely talked about. Most seniors are told to snack often to keep their strength up or to prevent blood sugar crashes. But in reality, constant eating, especially carb-heavy snacks, creates the very instability that damages nerves in the first place. Nerves thrive on stability. They need calm, consistent fuel, not chaos. So, when you start your morning with juice, follow it with cereal or toast, then graze on crackers or fruit throughout the day, you're unknowingly putting your nerves through a chemical roller coaster. And while none of these things feel extreme on their own, their cumulative effect is what leads to the symptoms we've been talking about: tingling, numbness, burning, imbalance. And because it happens gradually, most people never connect the dots. They blame age, or assume it's circulation, or just bad luck. But now, you know better. These aren't random changes. They are responses to a pattern your body has been trying to adapt to for years. The good news? These are patterns you can change. But before we talk about what to do, there's one more silent threat we need to address. A threat that hides not in your diet, but in your medicine cabinet. Because sometimes, even when you're eating right, your nerves may still be under attack from something you trust. And that's where we're heading next. So far, we've talked about sugar, about what we eat and how our habits impact our nerves. But now we need to look in a different direction. The medications we take every day. Because for many seniors, nerve pain doesn't just come from food. It comes from slow, hidden deficiencies that build quietly over time. And in many cases, those deficiencies are made worse, sometimes unintentionally, by the very medications prescribed to protect us. Let's talk about one of the most important nutrients for nerve health, vitamin B12. This vitamin plays a critical role in maintaining the protective sheath that surrounds each nerve. Without it, that sheath begins to break down, and when that happens, nerves become fragile, exposed, and more likely to misfire. That's when symptoms like tingling, numbness, and burning begin to appear. Now, here's the part that surprises many people. B12 deficiency is incredibly common among older adults, even those who eat well. Why? Because as we age, our ability to absorb B12 naturally declines. And when you add in certain medications, especially acid blockers, diabetes medications, and even cholesterol-lowering drugs, the absorption problem gets worse. These medications can interfere with the way your stomach and small intestine process nutrients. Over time, this leads to silent depletion. You may not notice it for months or even years, but deep inside your nervous system, the consequences are building. And it doesn't stop with B12. Folate, another key vitamin, works hand in hand with B12 to protect and repair nerve tissue. When either one is too low, nerve resilience drops. Electrical signals weaken. Coordination slips. Your reflexes slow down. And because these changes happen gradually, they often go unnoticed until something serious occurs, like a fall or sudden loss of sensation. Another essential nutrient is magnesium. It helps regulate nerve impulses and muscle function. Low magnesium doesn't just affect cramping and twitching. It also contributes to heightened nerve sensitivity. That means more pain, more discomfort, and a lower threshold for recovery. There's also alpha-lipoic acid, a powerful antioxidant that reduces oxidative stress in nerve cells. While not always discussed in routine checkups, it's been shown in research to help protect nerves and even improve certain symptoms of neuropathy in some individuals. But again, stress, poor diet, and certain drugs can reduce its effectiveness or deplete it altogether. So here's the problem. Even if you're eating a balanced diet, if your body can't absorb these nutrients, or if your medications are depleting them silently, your nerves are left unprotected. And worse, many seniors are never told to monitor these levels. Routine blood work might not flag it. Standard tests may miss the early signs. So the damage continues, unnoticed and untreated, until it becomes irreversible. This is not to say that medications are bad. Many of them are essential. They save lives, manage serious conditions, and help people live longer. But they are not without consequences. And when it comes to nerve health, those consequences can be serious if left unchecked. What I want you to take from this is not fear, but awareness. If you've been taking the same medications for years, especially those that affect stomach acid, blood sugar, or cholesterol, it's worth asking your doctor a few key questions. Have your B12 levels ever been tested? What about folate or magnesium? Are there nutritional gaps these medications might be creating? You don't need to stop taking anything, but you do need to understand how it affects the bigger picture. Because once you're aware, you can begin to protect yourself. You can give your nerves what they need to stand a fighting chance. Because the truth is, neuropathy isn't always about sugar alone. It's about stress, inflammation, poor blood flow, and just as importantly, nutritional depletion. That's why recovery and prevention both depend on looking at the whole system, not just the symptom. And once we do that, we can move toward the part that matters most. What to do next? Because now that we've uncovered the threats, it's time to talk about your plan. A simple, realistic 5-step strategy to protect and preserve your nerves starting today. Now that you understand the damage, let's talk about what you can actually do to protect your nerves starting today. This is not about chasing perfection or adopting extreme diets. It's about making small but powerful changes that reduce the poison and give your nerves space to breathe again. The first and most important step is stabilizing your blood sugar. That means keeping it from spiking. Not lowering it to dangerous levels, not trying to hit some perfect number, just keeping it steady. Every spike is like a tiny chemical burn to your nerve endings. Fewer spikes mean less damage. That's the foundation. How do you do that? It starts with changing the way you combine your food. Never eat carbohydrates alone. Not fruit, not toast, not cereal. Carbohydrates on their own hit the bloodstream fast, creating a sharp rise in sugar. But when you pair them with protein or healthy fat like eggs, avocado, or a handful of nuts, that spike is slowed down. Your nerves get a break. The second step is eliminating liquid sugar completely. That means no juice, no sweetened drinks, no smoothies, even the natural ones. They all hit too fast. If you want fruit, eat it whole, with the fiber intact, and always after a meal, not as a snack. This one habit alone can dramatically reduce nerve irritation. Third, you need to think about nutrient protection. After age 60, your body becomes less efficient at absorbing key vitamins like B12 and folate. If you've been taking medications that affect digestion or metabolism, this matters even more. Ask your doctor to check these levels. If they're low, correcting them can make a real difference in how your nerves function. Fourth, focus on reducing chronic inflammation. Inflammation makes nerves more sensitive. It amplifies discomfort and slows healing. What calms it? Whole foods. Fatty fish, olive oil, vegetables, herbs, and spices like turmeric. What fuels it? Highly processed foods, seed oils, and added sugars. Your plate becomes your signal to your nervous system, either to calm down or flare up. And finally, movement. But not the kind that wears you out. Nerves need circulation, not exhaustion. A gentle walk after meals does more for your blood sugar and nerve health than any supplement ever will. Just 10 minutes is enough. It brings oxygen to the nerves, helps stabilize glucose, and supports healing over time. These 5 steps don't promise a miracle, but they do something just as important. They slow down the damage. They give your nerves a chance to rest, to stabilize, to function without being constantly under attack. And for many seniors, that shift, less burning at night, steadier balance, fewer stumbles, can be life-changing. Because when it comes to neuropathy, the most powerful thing you can do is to stop feeding the fire. And that brings us to the truth most people never hear. There's something I want you to hear clearly. Neuropathy doesn't always reverse. That's the hard truth. But what most people forget is this progression can be stopped. And that alone can transform your quality of life. Less burning at night. Fewer stumbles. More confidence in your step. More trust in your body. Sometimes, that's what healing really looks like. Because neuropathy isn't just about pain. It's about independence. It's about being able to feel the ground beneath your feet, to respond quickly, to stay steady. And when that begins to slip, life starts to shrink. The walks get shorter. The outings become fewer. The fear grows louder. But none of this is inevitable. What matters most is timing. The earlier you recognize the signs: tingling, numbness, imbalance, the more power you have to act. Because those early signals are not verdicts. They are invitations to change. And now you know where to start. Stabilize your sugar. Remove the hidden triggers. Feed your nerves what they need. And move. Gently. With intention. You don't need to do it all at once. But you do need to begin. Even small improvements matter. They're proof that your body is still listening, still adapting, still capable of repair. If this video helped you understand what's happening in your body or gave you clarity you didn't have before, please take a moment to like and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And if you've been quietly dealing with nerve symptoms, I invite you to leave a comment below. Your story might give someone else the courage to look deeper. For more videos that support your strength, balance, and brain health as you age, subscribe to this channel so you never miss an update. You're not alone in this. And you're not powerless. Let's keep moving forward, one choice at a time.